What if I told you that you could stop weeding forever by planting the right plants that naturally choke out weeds and take over the soil? Today I'm revealing 7 powerful plants that are nature's weed killers, and these aren't delicate flowers that politely share space. These are aggressive ground covers that dominate the soil, suppress weeds completely, and transform your garden from a weed-infested nightmare into a lush, maintenance-free paradise. Spending hours on your hands and knees pulling weeds every single week? Hit that like button right now and subscribe to the channel. Ring that notification bell so you never miss our weed-fighting gardening tips that will save you countless hours of backbreaking work. Okay, let's get into the video. Let's talk about the war you're losing against weeds. Every weekend, you're out there pulling, digging, and spraying, but the weeds just keep coming back. No matter how much time you spend weeding, within days they're back, mocking your efforts. Your garden beds look messy, your pathways are overrun, and you're ready to give up and pave everything over with concrete. Here's what most gardeners don't realize. You're fighting weeds the wrong way. Instead of constantly removing weeds, you should be preventing them from growing in the first place. And the best way to prevent weeds isn't chemicals or endless mulching. It's using plants as living mulch that cover the soil so densely that weeds literally cannot germinate or grow. These weed-suppressing plants work by creating a thick mat of foliage and roots that blocks sunlight from reaching the soil, prevents weed seeds from germinating, outcompetes any weeds that do sprout for water and nutrients, and physically smothers existing weeds. Once established, these plants require almost no maintenance while providing continuous weed control year after year. The 7 plants I'm sharing today are specifically chosen because they're aggressive, fast-spreading ground covers that form dense mats. These aren't polite, well-behaved plants. These are the bullies of the plant world that dominate any space you give them. And that aggressive nature is exactly what makes them perfect for weed control. Over the next 10 minutes, I'll introduce you to these 7 weed-fighting champions. For each one, I'll explain how it suppresses weeds, how fast it spreads, what conditions it needs, and most importantly, how to use it effectively and keep it under control. By the end, you'll know exactly which plants to use to finally win the war against weeds. Let's discover the plants that will transform your garden and eliminate weeding forever. Number 1. Creeping thyme. Starting at number 7, we have creeping thyme, and this low-growing, aromatic ground cover creates dense, fragrant mats that weeds cannot penetrate. Creeping thyme forms tight mats only 2 to 3 inches tall that spread aggressively via creeping stems. In late spring and early summer, it becomes completely covered in tiny pink, purple, red, or white flowers. The foliage is evergreen and highly aromatic, releasing a wonderful herbal scent when stepped on or brushed. Creeping thyme thrives in full sun and well-draining soil. It's drought-tolerant once established and actually prefers lean, poor soil. It's hardy in zones 4 through 9. Here's the key benefit. Creeping thyme forms such dense mats that weeds simply cannot break through. The thick growth blocks sunlight completely, and the aromatic oils may even inhibit weed seed germination. It spreads quickly, often covering an area within 2 growing seasons. Once established, it requires 0 maintenance, no mowing, no deadheading, and no watering after the first year. It can even handle moderate foot traffic, making it perfect for pathways where weeds love to grow. The flowers attract pollinators, while deer and rabbits avoid the aromatic foliage. But here's the caution. Creeping thyme needs excellent drainage and will rot in heavy, wet soils. It's not suitable for shade and requires full sun. While it handles light foot traffic, it's not a lawn replacement for high-traffic areas. During the establishment period in the first year, you'll need to weed until the thyme fills in completely. Number 2. Pachysandra. At number 6, we have Pachysandra, and this classic evergreen ground cover creates impenetrable carpets of glossy foliage and shade where weeds typically thrive. Pachysandra forms dense carpets of glossy dark green leaves arranged in attractive whorls. It spreads via underground rhizomes to create thick coverage 6 to 12 inches tall. Small white flowers appear in spring. The evergreen foliage looks neat year-round. Pachysandra thrives in partial to full shade and prefers moist, slightly acidic soil. It's hardy in zones 4 through 9. Here's the key benefit. Pachysandra creates such dense coverage that absolutely nothing grows beneath it. The thick mat of rhizomes and roots completely dominates the soil, making it impossible for weeds to establish. It's one of the best ground covers for deep shade where grass won't grow and weeds typically take over. Once established, it spreads steadily to cover large areas, and it's evergreen, so it provides weed suppression year-round, even in winter. Deer generally avoid it, and it requires almost no maintenance beyond occasional cleanup. But here's the caution. Pachysandra absolutely requires shade and will yellow and struggle in full sun. It can be susceptible to volatile blight in humid conditions with poor air circulation. Avoid overhead watering and ensure adequate spacing. Also, while it spreads to fill areas, it can be aggressive and spread into areas where you don't want it. Use edging to contain it. Number 3. Ajuga. Coming in at number 5, we have Ajuga, and this fast-spreading ground cover is one of the most effective weed suppressors you can plant. Ajuga forms dense mats of glossy, colorful foliage just 4 to 6 inches tall. The leaves come in burgundy, bronze, chocolate, or variegated colors. In mid to late spring, it sends up short spikes of blue, purple, pink, or white flowers that completely cover the planting. It spreads rapidly via surface runners. Ajuga thrives in partial shade to full shade, but tolerates full sun in cooler climates. It adapts to most soils and is hardy in zones 3 through 9. Here's the key benefit. Ajuga is one of the fastest ground covers for filling space and suppressing weeds. It can spread 1 to 2 feet per year, often filling an area completely within 1 to 2 growing seasons. The dense mat of foliage is so thick that weeds cannot penetrate it. The colorful foliage provides interest year-round since many varieties are evergreen or semi-evergreen. The spring flower display is spectacular, and it works in shade where many ground covers struggle. Once it fills in, weeding becomes completely unnecessary. But here's the caution. Ajuga's aggressive spreading is both its greatest strength and biggest weakness. It will spread into lawns if not contained, and it's very difficult to remove once established. Use edging or barriers to keep it where you want it. In very wet soils, it can develop crown rot. While it likes moisture, it doesn't want to sit in standing water. Number 4. Vinca Minor. At number 4, we have Vinca Minor, and this evergreen trailing ground cover has been used for centuries to suppress weeds in difficult areas. Vinca Minor forms dense mats of glossy, dark green leaves on trailing stems that root as they spread. In mid to late spring, it produces cheerful blue, purple, or white pinwheel flowers. It grows 4 to 6 inches tall and spreads aggressively via trailing stems. Vinca thrives in partial shade to full shade, but tolerates some sun. It adapts to almost any soil and is hardy in zones 4 through 9. Here's the key benefit. Vinca creates incredibly dense coverage that completely smothers weeds. The trailing stems root at every node, creating a thick web of stems and roots that nothing can grow through. It's evergreen, providing year-round weed suppression. It's also one of the few ground covers that thrives in dry shade under trees where weeds typically dominate and nothing else will grow. The spring flowers are beautiful, and once established, it requires zero maintenance. Deer and rabbits avoid it. But here's the caution. Vinca can become invasive, especially in natural areas. It spreads aggressively and can escape into woodlands, displacing native plants. In some regions, it's actually on invasive species lists. Use it responsibly in contained areas where it won't spread into natural habitats. Also, while effective, it can be difficult to remove if you ever want to change your landscape. Number 5. Sweet woodruff. Number 3 is sweet woodruff, and this delicate-looking ground cover is surprisingly aggressive at suppressing weeds in shady areas. Sweet woodruff forms low carpets of bright green foliage arranged in attractive whorls around the stems. In late spring, it becomes covered in small, white, star-shaped flowers. The foliage is fragrant with a sweet, hay-like scent. It grows 6 to 12 inches tall and spreads via underground rhizomes. Sweet woodruff thrives in partial to full shade and prefers moist, well-draining soil rich in organic matter. It's hardy in zones 4 through 8. Here's the key benefit. Sweet woodruff spreads rapidly via rhizomes to cover large areas quickly, often filling in within 1 to 2 seasons. The dense growth creates a thick mat that completely prevents weeds from growing. The bright green foliage and white flowers create a beautiful woodland garden aesthetic. It's perfect for naturalizing under trees or in shaded areas where weeds typically take over. The fragrant foliage adds a pleasant scent when brushed. Once established, it requires minimal maintenance. But here's the caution. Sweet woodruff's aggressive spreading can become problematic in small gardens. It will spread beyond intended areas if not monitored and can become invasive. In ideal conditions with moisture and shade, it can be quite aggressive. Also, it prefers consistent moisture and may struggle in dry shade without supplemental watering. Number 6. Lamium. At number 2, we have Lamium, and this silvery-leaved ground cover is one of the fastest weed suppressors you can plant. Lamium forms low mats of silver variegated foliage with pink, white, or purple flowers in spring and sporadically through summer. Popular varieties like White Nancy have striking silver leaves with green edges. It grows 4 to 8 inches tall and spreads rapidly via creeping stems. Lamium thrives in partial to full shade and adapts to most soils. It's hardy in zones 4 through 8. Here's the key benefit. Lamium spreads extremely fast, often covering large areas within a single growing season. The dense mats completely smother weeds and prevent any from growing. The silvery foliage brightens shaded areas beautifully while providing weed control. It's evergreen or semi-evergreen in mild climates, so it works year-round. It handles dry shade reasonably well once established, making it useful under trees. The combination of fast spreading and dense growth makes it one of the most effective weed suppressors available. But here's the caution. Lamium spreads so aggressively that it can quickly become invasive. Use it only in areas where you want complete, permanent coverage. It will spread into lawns and neighboring beds if not contained. Install edging or barriers to control it. In very hot climates, it may struggle with extreme heat and prefer cooler conditions. Number 7. Creeping Jenny. And finally, at number 1, we have Creeping Jenny, and this fast-spreading ground cover is the ultimate weed suppressor that fills space faster than almost any other plant. Creeping Jenny forms low mats of round, coin-shaped leaves in bright chartreuse green or golden yellow, depending on variety. In early summer, it produces small, bright yellow, cup-shaped flowers. It grows only 2 to 4 inches tall, but spreads aggressively via trailing stems that root at every node. Creeping Jenny thrives in full sun to partial shade and adapts to almost any soil, including wet areas where most plants struggle. It's hardy in zones 3 through 9. Here's the key benefit. Creeping Jenny spreads faster than almost any other ground cover, often covering 2 to 3 feet from a single plant in one growing season. The dense mats completely smother weeds and prevent any growth beneath them. The trailing stems root at every node, creating an impenetrable web. It works in wet areas where weeds thrive, but other ground covers fail, making it perfect for problem spots. The bright chartreuse or golden foliage lights up shady areas while providing complete weed control. Once established, it requires zero maintenance and spreads continuously to cover more ground. But here's the caution. Creeping Jenny is extremely aggressive, and in some regions is considered invasive. It will escape garden beds, invade lawns, and spread into natural areas if not strictly controlled. Use physical barriers like edging buried at least 6 inches deep to contain it. Plant it only where you want permanent, exclusive coverage with nothing else growing. In some municipalities, planting Creeping Jenny may actually be restricted, so check local regulations. And there you have it. 7 powerful plants that naturally suppress weeds by creating dense mats that nothing can grow through. These aren't delicate ground covers that politely share space. These are aggressive plants that dominate the soil and eliminate weeds permanently. Plant these strategically in problem areas, let them establish, and you'll finally win the war against weeds. No more spending weekends on your hands and knees. Just beautiful, weed-free ground cover that takes care of itself. Thanks so much for watching. If you're ready to stop weeding forever and transform your garden with these powerful weed-suppressing plants, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more time-saving gardening tips that actually work. I'll see you in the next video where we're covering how to plant and establish ground covers for maximum weed suppression, including the critical first-year maintenance that ensures success. You don't want to miss it.